The F-22 Raptor made the United States so invincible that China had to steal it. Espionage, conspiracies, infiltration of the American defense industry, and everything else needed to construct an entire bridge of spies was carried out across a 6-year-long operation. The result? China's most powerful fighter jet to date, the J-20 Mighty Dragon. This Chinese fighter must now prove itself by destroying the one fighter it got its DNA from. This is the tale of the F-22 Raptor up against a fighter that should have never been, the American-Chinese J-20 Mighty Dragon. With the deteriorated relationship between both nations over the last few decades, American-Chinese is a hyphenation that probably shouldn't exist. But thanks to some intercontinental drama in the last decade, it does. And here's what went down. It all began in 2008, the same year China began formal development of its first stealth fighter. In that year, Su Bin, a Chinese national but Canadian aviation industry entrepreneur, kicked off a years-long conspiracy. He partnered with professional hackers and high-ranking members of the Chinese military. The goal was to steal a library load of American military secrets. In Canada, Su Bin took up the name Stephen Su, and he was the sole proprietor of a small company that specialized in aircraft cable harnesses. This company, called LoadTech, was described by the Air Force Office of Special Investigations as a small player in the field, with only a handful of employees and limited access to broader aviation programs. Little did they know. Despite the minimal reach of LoadTech, Su Bin himself worked tirelessly to establish inroads within the Canadian and American defense industries, forming an extensive network of business contacts that, over time, allowed him to gain increasingly unfettered access to internal networks maintained by a variety of American and Canadian defense contractors. Su successfully stole more than 630,000 files from Boeing, illegally gained access to tens of thousands of files associated with stealth fighter programs, and more information on other programs. Terabytes of information, all in the possession of the one nation that should never have access to it. Su Bin was later caught in 2014, tried, and after a confession, convicted. But the damage had been done. China's new stealth fighter had already begun to show features that looked more and more American. Modified diverterless supersonic inlets, redesigned vertical stabilizers, powerful turbofan engines at last, and entirely new stealth-improving features, among others, all of which were not present before 2008. Still, the F-35 is the Pentagon's most expensive weapons program to date at a total cost of $400 billion, and the F-22 Raptor is the most expensive fighter jet in history, with a unit cost of $350 million. Both fighters were built in efforts that lasted well over a decade. It would take more than a 6-year espionage and thousands of unrefined, probably encrypted files to make replicas that would match the originals pound for pound. To counter this widespread belief, China's air superiority fighter, the J-20 Mighty Dragon, must now prove itself against America's air superiority fighter, the F-22 Raptor, as the Raptor appears to remain unmatched even to this day. 19 years ago, in 2005, the world's first fifth-generation fighter entered service. It was the F-22 Raptor, an air superiority fighter unlike anything that had ever been seen before. It was so unique that just 3 years after entering service, China would begin its large-scale espionage on the aircraft. But what battle-dictating capabilities made the Raptor so special, and how well does its Chinese rival compare to it today? Well, it's time to find out. Stealth. Stealth is the term used to describe the family of features that make an aircraft difficult to spot by enemy air defense systems. The Raptor was a pioneer in this. The fighter was built from the ground up to be as stealthy as can be. To achieve this, manufacturer Lockheed Martin paid attention to the tiniest of details. The hinges on the Raptor are hidden. The airframe is shaped to scatter detection waves instead of reflecting them back to the source. Leading edges are cooled, and the fighter features flat thrust vectoring nozzles to reduce infrared emissions and therefore give less heat for heat-seeking missiles to feed off of. And that's not all. All around its airframe, The Raptor is lavishly coated with radar-absorbent material to absorb whatever stubborn radar waves refuse to be scattered away. To ensure all radar components do their job to design at all times, the Raptor is fitted with a signature assessment system that delivers warnings when the radar signature is degraded and repair is necessary. All of these combine to ensure the Raptor has a radar cross-section of 1/10,000th of a square meter, the same as that of a steel marble. The Mighty Dragon's holistic approach to stealth includes the stealth shaping of the chined forebody, modified radar radome, and electroconductive canopy. The diverterless supersonic inlets, DSIs, which save weight, reduce complexity, and minimize radar signature on their own, also obscure the reflective surface of the engine from radar detection. Then there's the flat fuselage bottom, internal weapons bay, sawtooth edges on compartment doors, radar-absorbent material coating, and so on. However, the fighter has canards, and there's a whole debate on how canards can negatively affect the stealth of a fighter. While the stealth performance of the Mighty Dragon may be similar to that of the Raptor to some degree, it is unlikely that it matches or exceeds it. Engine. Both the Raptor and the Mighty Dragon are twin-engine fighters. Powering the Raptor are two Pratt & Whitney F-119 PW100 augmented turbofan engines. These engines are closely spaced and incorporate pitch-axis thrust vectoring nozzles for athletic-level agility. Both engines combine to produce a hefty 70,000 pound-force of thrust to give the Raptor a top speed of Mach 2.25, a service ceiling of 65,000 feet, and a maximum range of 2,000 miles. The Mighty Dragon, on the other hand, is currently powered by two Shenyang WS-10C afterburning turbofans that both combine to produce up to 66,000 pound-force of thrust. However, the engine originally slated for the fighter is the new WS-15 engine in the works. The new engine failed its tests in 2019, which forced the aircraft manufacturers to temporarily opt for the WS-10C. When the new WS-15 is installed at a time that isn't known yet, the Mighty Dragon would have a total thrust that exceeds that of the Raptor. The Chinese fighter is designed for a top speed of Mach 2, lower than that of the Raptor, but it takes its service ceiling higher to an altitude of 66,000 feet and its maximum range farther to 3,400 miles. Armament. To maintain their stealth profiles, both the Raptor and the Mighty Dragon have their weapons stored in internal bays by default. The Raptor shares its weapons across one main bay and two side bays. Inside the main bay is a combination of up to 6 65-mile range, Mach 4 flying AIM-1 20C advanced medium-range air-to-air missiles and 1,000-pound class GPS-guided joint direct attack munitions. In the side bays are two AIM-9 Sidewinders with a Mach 2.5 top speed and 22-mile range. An M61A2 Vulcan 20mm rotary cannon with 480 rounds is also embedded in the airplane's right-wing root. The Mighty Dragon also has a main bay and two smaller bays. The main bay is capable of housing both long-range air-to-air missiles, the PL-12 for instance, and precision-guided munitions such as the LS family. The two smaller lateral weapon bays behind the air inlets are intended for short-range air-to-air missiles such as the PL-10. For when stealth isn't of topmost priority, both of these fighters can carry extra ammunition externally. Up to 20,000 pounds of weapons on external hardpoints alone for the Raptor, while the total armament capacity internally and externally for the Mighty Dragon is 24,000 pounds. Furthermore, the Mighty Dragon doesn't wield a rotary cannon. The Raptor appears to have significantly more firepower than the Mighty Dragon, ironically. Despite entering service at least a decade before every other fifth-generation fighter on the planet, the F-22 Raptor is still regarded as the most dominant air superiority fighter in the world. But even that isn't enough for the fighter, as it continues to take on more upgrades to be more dominant and modernized for the modern battle space. Here are those upgrades. A 2022 post by the head of U.S. Air Force's Air Combat Command, General Mark Kelly, shows a slew of upgrades lined up to transform the F-22 from a lethal beast to the thing that other beasts fear. Two upgrades in particular stand out, and they are: 1. Low observable IRST pods. In General Kelly's art, 3 Raptors are outfitted with faceted pods under their wings that, judging based on recent Air Force infrared search and track activities, could be IRST pods. IRST pods enable the F-22 passively detect and track both stealthy and non-stealthy aircraft from miles away, while combating electronic warfare activities from the opposition. As electronic warfare grew to become the stuff of dreams for the most consequential air forces around the world, these IRST capabilities were long overdue for the Raptor. 2. New weapons. In General Kelly's post, one of the F-22s was depicted as firing a missile that's unlike any ever seen in the U.S. inventory. There are multiple missile programs ongoing, and so it is uncertain which of those is being represented here, but it could be the AIM-260 long-range Joint Advanced Tactical Missile. This missile is designed to fit in the same general space that the F-22 compatible AIM-120 AMRAAM can fit into, and is scheduled to be in service as early as this year, 2023. The AIM-260 is a beyond visual range air-to-air missile designed as an unrivaled response to the advanced long-range missiles developed by near-peer adversaries, such as China's PL-15. In addition to this missile, the U.S. Air Force has made significant progress with hypersonic missiles and laser-directed energy weapons developed by the largest defense contractor in the world, Lockheed Martin, the same company that built the Raptor. These upgrades and others, which could cost the Air Force up to $7 billion, extensive and game-changing as they are, pale in comparison to the biggest upgrade to the F-22 Raptor yet: its retirement. Every era comes to end. The Raptor has dominated the skies every minute of its time in service. But after decades of operations, it must hang its boots sometime soon. But before it does, the Raptor has one more surprise for the world. Of course, it must leave with a bang. The fighter is currently the testbed being used to develop America's next invincible air superiority fighter, the NGAD fighter. The NGAD fighter will be a 6th-generation fighter capable of things no fighter in the world today can boast of, such as loyal wingman support and a tailless stealth design that only the B-2 Spirit and B-21 Raider have dared to have. With the NGAD fighter in the picture, the F-22 Raptor's legacy is indeed in the safest hands. The F-22 Raptor's service life has been an adventure, from being the target of deep-rooted international espionage to birthing the next undisputed fighter of the skies. This fighter has been the center of some really interesting aviation events, all the while remaining the king of the skies. To honor such a special fighter that has protected the United States for decades, give this video a like and subscribe to this channel. Thanks for watching.